Hello everyone, my name is Simon O'Brien and welcome to my season premiere of RWBY series. And it's going to be Xiao from RWBY versus Leone from Akame Got Killed. Now, first things first, I will be going into the base stats as say strength, speed, and durability, but I will also go to other factors like skills, weapons, abilities, and trump cards, and then finally who I personally think is going to win the fight. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, let's start with Xiao. Now, Xiao is a particularly strong character. She can actually scale to, say, multi-building to building level at least, in terms of standard strength, because she has done a lot of stuff in the standard strength, let's say, pushed back 10 feet tall grim creatures, stalemated Noah Valkyrie in a arm wrestling contest, who is the same character that can pierce through a giant scorpion stinger with Magenhild, thanks to the force of her impact anyway from Magenhild. And yeah, she has done a lot of stuff in terms of standard strength, and she at one time jumped into the air in her yellow trailer, and she jumped into the air, landed into the ground, and created an earthquake and also a shock wave that actually made everyone around that area jump up into the air. So that is very impressive. Now, for speed, Yang is severely underestimated in the speed department, in my opinion. She actually scales to characters like Ruby Rose, Lyren, and Mercury, who are massively hypersonic. For example, in a sparring contest against Ruby Rose, not only did Yang react to all of Ruby Rose's attacks, but she actually retaliated and did faster attacks than Ruby did in that sparring contest. So that alone is very impressive. But aside from speed and combat, she also is very fast in travel speed, especially in the air. Like, Yang can use her Ember Silica gauntlets, which I'll talk more in depth later on. But she can use those gauntlets to fly into the air, gain momentum, and then finally punch her opponent, which is part of a moveset. So that is very impressive. Now, another speed feat that Yang has is being on par with Lyren, and Lyren is more of an agile over strength character. He's like using hit and run tactics, and basically a speedster in the RWBY universe. So he is really awesome in speed. So there's that. Yang can also defeat characters who are faster than her. So and also react to them pretty quickly. Although she tends to have a lot of trouble with a lot of faster characters like Leone and Neo Peliton, and it was the same fight that Yang lost to, although it's more or less like Yang being very tired on that day, so I really don't count as a fault for Yang in my opinion, because she was exhausted during that fight, so that's a bit unfair for Yang to actually get a point down for that, because she wasn't at her best at that time. But anyways, for durability, Yang is very durable. Like, she has an aura that protects her from a lot of harm, and she also allows to heal her minor wounds and scratches and all that. But her best durability feat was when Roman piloted a paladin tank and punched Yang through a concrete pillar, and not only did the concrete pillar shatter, and Yang just stood back up like it was nothing, more pissed off than ever. So that is a very, very good durability feat for Yang. It was going to help her a lot in this battle. So there's that. Now, another durability feat that Yang has is when Noah Valkyrie launched her into the air with a watermelon staff, and Yang flew kilometers into the air and landed into the building through the roof in a couple of minutes, and she stood back up happier than ever. It barely scratched her at all, or barely even hurt her. So that's actually a very high durability feat for Yang. She's probably multi-building level or small city level, depending on how you see it. But it's still, Yang is one tough badass. Now, anyways, for weapons. Now, as mentioned before, she uses her Ember Silica, and these are two gauntlets that actually are used for close range and long range combat. Now, for long range, they fire rockets at her opponents, and they deal a lot of damage, and they are very fast as well. Like, at one time, Junior had his rocket launcher and was firing at Yang at rapid succession, and Yang was actually firing her Ember Silica rockets at Junior, and it was shown in the yellow trailer they had a deadlock, and it was actually pretty awesome what the rockets can do. So there's that. But also, with those rockets, Yang packs a lot of firepower behind them. Like, she can take down 10 feet tall grim beasts, actually hurt the internal organs of a giant bird, and even defeat Neon Cat with the rockets. So these rockets are very powerful. So, and also, aside from long-range combat, Yang is also very skilled in close-range combat with her Ember Silica. Now, with close-range combat, every time you get hit by Yang with the Ember Silica, it feels like a shotgun blast. So you will get a lot of damage from Yang when she hits you in close range. So that is very, very dangerous to be in Yang's close quarters game. So there's that. With her Ember Silica, she can knock out masks from henchmen that wear teddy bear masks for odd reason. I don't know why they wear teddy bear masks in a disco bar, but whatever. It's pretty funny. And she also knocked down 10 feet tall beasts, and she can even take down building level characters with her Ember Silica, like Lai Ren. Although it wasn't Lai Ren that she beat with her Ember Silica. She beat Lai Ren with her turkeys, but she did it in the same manner of Ember Silica, so yeah, there's that. So basically, Yang is very strong in close range combat. She's very strong in long range combat as well, but ultimately, I would say that her biggest weakness here is that her arrogance and confidence in the fight. Like, she tends to be more predictable as the fight goes on, but that all probably might be overcome over time, because as of this video, she's probably going to overcome that weakness of being overconfident and more in control in the situation. So there's that. She's a character that's growing over time in terms of progress and skills, so there's that. And also, with her trump card, it's Semblance. And what the Semblance does is absorb the damage that she takes and redirects it back to her opponent with greater force. So this same Semblance made her punch through Paladin, and it completely shattered it. Like, completely shattered it. And Roman actually got out of it, but he was knocked out for a little bit, and then, yeah, he got back up, but he still felt the effects of the Semblance. So that's pretty impressive of Yang to do so. And another thing about the Semblance is that it has no limit to what Yang can absorb. Although it's stated by Tai Yang that she still can feel damage over time with more kinetic energy. So whether or not it's unlimited, I'm not sure. But for the sake of it, I say it is limited because there's no set amount. So there's that. So Yang is looking very strong here. She's versatile in terms of long range and close range combat. She's an all-round fighter, and yeah, a very skilled character at that. Now, let's get into Leone. Now, for strength, Leone has a lot of strength feats. Like, at one time, she knocked down a Tyrannosaurus-sized danger beast, and thanks to my paleontology knowledge, T-Rexes averagely go 6 to 8 ton range, and they are very, very heavy in real life. I mean, they're dead now, but you get the idea what T-Rexes are like anyway, so they are huge. So, there's that. So, the danger beast that Leone actually knocked down actually should be heavier than a normal T-Rex, though, because when she knocked it down, not only did the force of it actually knock her down completely, it also created a shattered crater into the ground. So that is actually very impressive. Very, very impressive. Another strength feat that Leone is impressively known for is grabbing pillars and wielding them like clubs, but her best strength feat is punching a tower that was flying in midair and was about to land in a neighboring district in the Empire, and Leone just punched it and it flew away like it was nothing. That is a very good feat, like possibly large building to multi-building level, because the size of the tower is very big. So whether or not it's actually more than that, I'm not sure, but it is still a very big tower. So you should check out the feat one day. It's actually pretty impressive. Like, Leone just shrugged it off and slapped it in the air and boop, that's it. So that's that. Other things that Leone is known for is actually overpowering people. Also, she even bit off the tip of Bowles' flamethrower, and it was also connected to a gasoline canister, which I will mention in the durability feat later on. And this flamethrower is an Imperial Arms that can actually disintegrate people where it fires, so that is actually pretty deadly. Now, anyways, another strength feat that Leone is famous for is strangling people to death instantly and overpowering people, like I said before. So yeah, she's a very badass character in the strength department, just like Yang Xiaolong. Now, for speed, Leone scales to Akame and Tatsumi, and Tatsumi and Akame are very fast characters. They can dodge bullets, quick sword strikes, and Imperial arms that are quick enough to go at least hypersonic at best, and they can even dodge lightning. And Leone herself has dodged lightning from General Budo, although at one time she was paralyzed by General Budo's lightning, and she was caught by it, but it's more or less with Leone grabbing Budo though, so I don't think she was trying to avoid the lightning-based attack, so I still think she's basically over lightning level in terms of speed. So there's that. So, in combat speed, she can keep up with Esdeath in combat speed, although only for a little bit, because in that same fight, Esdeath completely annihilated her, like, mutilated Leone to almost a living pulp, although she's still recognizable during that fight, but oh my god, it's pretty gruesome stuff. But I'll get into that in the durability section later. So, she doesn't scale to Esdeath in speed, but only for a brief moment, but it's still okay to lose to Esdeath in the speed department, because Esdeath herself is one of the fastest characters in the Akame ga Kill universe. So there is no shame to losing to her in that department. So there's that. Now, for durability, this is a ridiculously interesting category for Leone, because unlike Yang Xiaolong, she doesn't have a very strong aura protecting her whole body, but she makes up for it for regeneration. Now, this regeneration is extremely powerful. It makes her like, it's on level with Wolverine's regeneration from the Marvel Universe, although she doesn't have an adamantium skeleton. No. She's basically a human with an Imperial arms, which I will go into later, that allows her to have regenerative abilities. And it's, like I said before, it's on par with Wolverine's speedy healing factor. So yeah, she heals pretty fast with her regeneration. Although, it is stated that the more severe injuries that Leone takes, they do take a very long time to heal. So it ultimately gets into a bit of a disadvantage for her when she goes up to someone that can actually, say, punch a hole through her body and all that. So it's pretty gruesome stuff. Like what happened with Esdeath. What happened there was that Esdeath cut off her chest and all that and took out her eye. And Leone had a very long time healing from that. And it's basically gruesome stuff. So, at least Leone is a badass of what she is. And also, another thing about the regeneration is that when you cut off Leone's arm or limbs and all that, she'll keep fighting, like at full power. She'll close the wound, but she doesn't actually regrow limbs quickly. She has to have Lubbock using cross tails to help her reattach those limbs. So, even though, despite all that, Leone can still fight at full power with just a missing limb and so. So she is still very impressive. In fact, as mentioned before, with Bowles' flamethrower, she was actually at one-armed situation against Bowles, and she bit off Bowles' flamethrower just using her teeth. So, she was missing one arm at that time, so there's that. Now, speaking of Bowles' flamethrower, it's connected to a gasoline canister. Now, here's the thing I was going to talk about with the gasoline canister. What happened was that Bowles was about to give up the fight, and he had a last resort, and he threw the gas canister into the air and it exploded. Now, the size of the explosion is really big, and Leone and Akame were doing that blast, and it should scale to, say, city level in terms of durability. Now, you might think it's very impressive, but there's one small detail that you had to remember here, is that Leone and Akame were hiding behind one of Kurome's puppets who was using a shield to protect them from the shear blast. But still, the blast itself would have killed Leone and Akame anyway, but they still survived it. So it's pretty impressive. So take this feat as, say, like with a grain of salt. If you think it's actually going to be multi-city level feat, that's fine. Although it's just that the shield part is kind of like taking away the multi-city level feat. It's more basically like Leone surviving it because of a shield. Oh well. Although, after that blast, Leone was basically unconscious. So, it is pretty, she barely survived it, basically. But it's still very impressive that she even stayed intact at all. Now, For weapons, Leone doesn't wield weapons, but she basically has a belt called the Leone, or the Beast Transformation. And as said before, it actually grants her regenerative abilities, but also animalistic instincts and all that. Like, she can sense things from kilometers away, and also has superior strength, speed, agility, reflexes, and also Leone is very skilled in fighting, like growing to skill. She's a trained assassin. She has been training as an assassin for like her entire life. She's about 25 years of age until her death. Oh well. And she's very experienced at what she has done and all that. She's mainly a stealthy fighter, although in my personal opinion, she's just as skilled in combat as she is at stealth, because she has a lot of experience against skilled characters. Like, again, with Esdeath, although she did lose the fight to Esdeath, Esdeath is one of the most skilled characters in the Akame, and Esdeath is a general, so that speaks a lot of volumes as well. So that is that. Although Leone has also jumped a guy the same guy that stabbed her in the face with a knife, and the same guy tried to kill mine. And then Leone just somehow ambushed that guy into thin air and strangled him to death. And there you go. He's dead by an enraged Leone. So there's that. So with these guys and their abilities, Leone can also scale to, say, Akame in terms of skill as well, although Akame and Leone are very different fighters in terms of skill, because Akame is more of a swordsman and Leone is more of a brawler, so there's that. Now, basically, Leone is a badass in strength, speed, durability, weapons, and skills, and trump cards. Now, who I think is going to win? Now, this is easily one of the closest fights I ever had to analyze. Now, even if I say who I think is going to win, as of this video, I still am not sure, because there are so many ways one character is going to win, and there's another ways that the other character is going to win. So basically, one character is like here in terms of stats, and one character is here in terms of other stats. So it's basically evenly matched. Although, in my personal opinion, and feel free to disagree with me, I personally think that Yang Xiaolong will win this fight. Now, for two reasons, okay? The first reason. Now, as I said before with Yang Xiaolong, she has the Ember Basilica gauntlets that are both used for range and long-range combat. So that gives her greater versatility than Leone, who only has the claws, and she doesn't have any long-range feats at all. Like, she doesn't have any weapons that are long-range attacks. Like, she doesn't have a bow or gun or anything like that. She only has her claws. So Leone is basically at a disadvantage at long-range combat, but in close-range combat, things get interesting. Now, you might be thinking that Leone is stronger, which I personally say she is in the starting moments of the fight, because she has taken down a Tyrannosaurus-sized danger beasts, whereas Yang, in her standard form, actually can take down 10 feet tall Grim. So there's that. Although the thing is, Yang's aura actually basically helps her endure that attack from Leone. So Leone is going to have to try and overcome Yang's durability, and Yang herself is going to try and overcome Leone's regenerative ability. So this is more like cancelling each other out, okay? So we have Yang here, who is trying to actually overcome Leone's regeneration, and we have Leone, who is trying to overcome Yang's durability and aura, okay? So, who, in my opinion, is going to try and get into the other, bypass someone's durability between these two? Now, personally, Yang has the advantage here, okay? Like, this, Yang basically has the slight advantage here over Leone. Now, let me explain why. Reason number two. Her semblance is actually going to make her absorb the attacks from Leone. They will make her even stronger than ever, and also overtax her healing factor. Now, as said before, Leone's healing factor is impressive, although she doesn't actually regenerate from severe wounds instantaneously. So, her healing factor is basically the only way for Leone to withstand some of Yang's attacks. And Yang's attacks do pack a punch. Like I said, they do feel like they're going to hit. They do feel like they have shotgun blasts behind them anyway. So that is going to be a huge factor into the fight. And like with Esdeath, Leone will be mutilated by Lei Yang, but in a more gruesome way. Like, she'll have a hole through her stomach or even get decapitated, so there's that. So, there you go. In my personal opinion, in a close range fight, Yang is going to eventually prevail over Leone in a very close quarters fight. Very close quarters fight. And it ultimately comes down to whether or not Leone can even try and come up with an idea to knock out Yang using hit-and-run tactics, which she's actually perfectly capable of doing, because she's known to even seeing being very crafty on the fly. Like, in the anime, she knew how powerful Esdeath was, and she avoided a confrontation with Esdeath because she knew how powerful she was. So that speaks how smart Leone is. She's not a coward, she just wanted to make sure that she might fight another day or get more skillful and get into Esdeath again and all that. Although the anime is different from the manga, so whether or not you think that Esdeath is as powerful as she was in the manga, you take it with a grain of salt. Although personally I think the Esdeath in the manga is more powerful than the anime version, but still, Leone is smart enough to avoid a confrontation with Esdeath. I mean, let's be honest here, Esdeath is just too much for Leone. So, anyways, so Leone is more craftier than Yang, whereas with Yang getting more angry, she'll be more predictable in the fight, and it will give Leone the advantage of being more unpredictable to Yang, like trying to go with tricky maneuvers and all that. So there's that. But the thing is, she has to try and bypass that durability first, and this is where I think Yang eventually prevails in the long run, because the aura that Yang has can tank more tons of force than what Leone can dish out. So basically, Leone is fighting someone who can endure 100 tons worth of force, and she can only do, let's say, a couple of tons of force, like 20 tons of force to 30 tons of force, and that's basically it at her best. So there's that. Now, as for Yang, when she punches Leone, Leone will feel it. Like, she's going to feel the punch. Like, it'll probably make her get knocked out or even decapitate her when she gets really mad and really pissed off. Whereas, with the semblance, when Yang gets all Super Saiyan mode, she'll just punch Leone to Kingdom Come. Like, even with all the stuff that she does when she's angry, she never missed a punch. So, Yang is dead on accurate when she ever tries going for a punch. Now, you might be saying, but Yang got her arm cuffed off by Adam Taurus and got knocked out. So, doesn't that mean that Leone is actually more durable than Yang when she loses a missing limb? Well, guess what? I actually agree with you there. Because firstly, Yang was completely unconscious after Adam cut her arm off. Well, that resulted in her having a prosthetic arm. Whereas when Leone got cut by Kurame, she didn't just like shrug off the wound. She completely healed it and completely closed the wound. So that is actually a huge difference in terms of willpower and resilience. So Leone, in my opinion, is more resilient and more strong-willed than Yang in terms of pain tolerance. But overall, I think Yang has the greatest strength, the equal in speed. Oh, well, speaking of speed, you might be thinking that Leone is faster than Yang. Now, I actually agree with that as well, although it's not a big gap of speed as you would think, because Yang has reacted to hypersonic characters before, like RWBY, Lyran, and Mercury. And Leone does slightly edge out Yang in terms of combat speed as well. But eventually, Yang will get a hit in, so, and when she hits Leone, like I said before, it's going to give her a huge pain in the butt, and like, even at one time probably stun Leone for a bit, so there's that. So, I think speed is more like a slight edge for Leone. Now, for durability, yeah, like I said before, I think Yang is more durable than Leone. And for skills, oh, okay, not gonna lie, Leone is more skilled than Yang. I mean, she's a trained assassin, whereas Yang is more like a boxer or a brawler. Although she will get more skillful over time. So, as of this video, I'd say Yang is probably going to be just as skilled as Leone, but by the end of RWBY. So, there's that. So, there you go. Now, for weapons, not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to say that the Ember Silica is better than the claws themselves. I mean, the claws, while very powerful, and they're very good for strangling people, which I'll go to the strangling thing very soon, they're very good at what they do, but the Ember Silica is just more versatile in terms of close-range combat, and especially long-range combat. So, there's that. Now, with the killing blows, Yang could just decapitate Leone, like, with no problem, and Leone can't heal from that. She'll already be dead. She has never shown to grow back a body or anything like that. So, there's that. She can also punch through holes in, Leone and all that, and, Leone will still probably survive, but barely. Like, she doesn't heal instantaneously like Wolverine does, although she can heal instantaneously from wounds like cut marks and all that, but not like huge holes. It will take a very long time to do so. And if Yang severs a limb from Leone, it will give Yang more advantages in the fight, although Leone will still fight till the very end. Like, she'll go full power mode and all that. So, yeah, she really doesn't want to lose, Leone. That's what I love about her. I love characters like they don't try and lose the fight. They just want to win, no matter how hard they do. So that's why I like characters like Leone and Yang. They do try their best to win. So that's why this fight is basically ultimately going to be a fight of longevity and strength. And this is where Yang eventually prevails. Now, for Leone to kill Yang, she can strangle Yang instantaneously and kill her. And which is very impressive, considering that it could bypass her aura. Although, when she picks up Yang, well, I say this, okay? When she picks up Yang, I think Yang is going to eventually blast off the arm that's holding up Leone, and it will eventually sever it, or even break it for a moment. So, there's that. It will probably make Leone let go and anything like that. But let's just say Yang is too knocked out from the Force. Well, will Leone still kill her? Yes, I would say so. I mean, strangling Yang is basically like strangling a normal person. I mean, her aura is very durable, but Yang can still feel the force of it, so her internal organs will probably still get snapped by the force of the snapping her neck and all that, so yeah. Like I said, this is a very close fight, but ultimately, I will say that Yang Xiaolong will win in a very, very intense, long-fought fight, and I would say it's more like a 51 to 49% chance of winning in favor of Yang Xiaolong. Now, here's my devil's advocate. Leone will win if her regeneration keeps her in the battlefield, and she also can come up with a plan to try and outsmart Yang in the long run, and she can also possibly try and outspeed Yang to the point that Yang can't really catch her, and also strangle her to death, like I said before, with the neck snap. But anyways, so in my opinion, the winner is Yang Xiaolong. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really enjoyed this episode, and it's just, like I said before, it is the closest fight I have ever had to analyze this season so far. I mean, it is the first episode of the season, but it is very close compared to some fights, so there's that. Now, as for next time, it's going to be Captain America versus Albert Wesker. I'm very excited to do that fight, even though I have doubts about who I think is going to win and lose, because a couple of factors are going to play into for a certain character, but I still am going to make a video about it, and it's getting dark here. I should have got the lights turned on, but oh well, it's okay. It's alright. Now, as for the ending pun for this fight, I'm going to have to say, looks like Leone just didn't get pack a punch, or say, looks like Yang just got too yangry for Leone, and guess what? That really killed Leone's chances of winning. So, there's that. Well, anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day, or a good night, depending on what time you're at.